Welcome to Sandwiches of History. Today is Guest Host Friday, and today our guest host comes to us from St. Paul, Minnesota, but he was originally from São Paulo, Brazil. That's right, the two places he's lived, both named after St. Paul. Anyway, he's a software developer and a musician and a fan of the show and loves to cook, and he's also a member of Club Sandwich, which unfortunately I am going to be shutting down soon. But anyway, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Take it away.
Thanks, Barry. I've been a huge fan of the show, as you can tell, and today I have the honor of bringing you the Mortadella Sandwich, a classic from my hometown of São Paulo, Brazil. Let's do it. So the first thing we'll do is cut some French bread that I got from a Vietnamese grocery store. It's a little bit bigger than the Brazilian version, but this will do. It'll taste delicious. It's the same bread as they use for banh mi. And actually in Brazil, we call this French roll or French bread. So I'm assuming it's very similar, or it came from the same influence as Vietnam. So I'm going to just take some of the innards out, and then we will butter it. Oh yeah, lots of butter, because we're going to be toasting this later. So next we have the star of the show, the Mortadella, which is kind of like an Italian cousin to a bologna, but it's full of flavor. You can see it's got a bunch of black pepper and little pockets of fat just to make it even more scrumptious. And to make it even better, we're going to toast it. Oh yeah, and we're going to be using lots of it. Now mortadella has a fair amount of fat, so you probably don't need to grease the pan. I'm using a non-stick pan here. So when I told my family I'd be making a mortadella sandwich for the channel, they all said, make sure to use a lot of it. Because traditionally this is served really thick. So I got 3 pounds. Obviously I'm not going to be using all of it, but we'll use a good chunk of it. Yeah, you can see some of it is getting fairly crispy. We don't want it hard. We want it nice and golden brown, but you still want some bite to it, not too crispy, not quite like bacon crispy. Okay, so right on top of this piece right here, we're going to add some cheese. Now in Brazil, we use a cheese called queijo prato, which I'm not sure what the equivalent would be, but I think it's fairly close to provolone. So we're going to go with that today. Try to make some room here for the bread. I think we have enough room just to get it nice and toasted. Again, not super toasted, but we want that butter to melt. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Take all of this goodness, load it onto our bread. Okay, let's give this mortadella sandwich a go. It brings back memories. That toasty mortadella with the cheese. You have this beefy fattiness in a good way. This is almost bacony in a way. You can definitely taste the black pepper in the mortadella. And the bread is just perfect. I think we can plus this up though. I'm going to use some sun-dried tomatoes, and then we're going to use some roasted peppers. I'm going to add just a touch of this Dijon mustard by Edmond Fallot. Somebody said this was the best Dijon mustard, so I tried it and I do love it. And then some of our pepper and sun-dried tomato mixture. Okay, let's give this mortadella and provolone sandwich plussed up with sun-dried tomatoes and roasted peppers and Dijon mustard a go. Actually, the Dijon mustard kind of gets lost a little bit. The sun-dried tomatoes and the peppers really brighten things up. You get the sweetness from both the sun-dried tomatoes and the peppers. I probably should have used more mustard, but this is really good. So the original mortadella sandwich with provolone was great. It was a lot like I remember it. It was a little bit greasier though, so I think I might have been a little heavy-handed with the butter. But overall, it was great. It was super easy to make. The ingredients were fairly easy to source. I would give it an 8. I think I might be a little biased though. I think a lot of that is the nostalgia factor. But plussed up with the sun-dried tomatoes and the peppers and the mustard, like I said, you couldn't really taste the mustard in there. Still made a difference. I would give it an 8.5 or 9 easily on this one. It is a big sandwich, so I'm not sure I'll finish it. But I could make it again. I think that could become a hit here at home. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you very so much for the opportunity. This was a lot of fun to make. I hope I get to do this again sometime in the future. In the meantime, looking forward for the next episode of Sandwiches of History. And even though I won't see you tomorrow, I'll definitely be watching it tomorrow. Okay, see ya. Oh yeah, even my dog wants some. So the other...